No ID is meant for a sane audience. No ID may contain liberty-oriented content. Pinko discretion is advised. Now, here's No ID with Paul Banducci and Scott Moskowitz.
Boy, that is so true. It's not just true, it's so true. This is No ID. Welcome back to the show. I'm Scott.
I'm Paul.
And I'll do your
we're
line.
Happy to be here.
Hey,
do
Internet,
my line?
we're back. Yeah, hey, Internet, we're back.
I'm sorry. Hey, Internet, we're back. Hello,
Can you
Internet. Actually, it's hello, Internet.
Hello, Internet.
Do you want to do the intro again? We can redo it.
I'll fix it in post. It'll be seamless.
Should we just roll with it? I'm looking up. I will admit, I was distracted. I was trying to take the extra 5 seconds I thought I had to look at YouTube clips for my makeshift soundboard that I'm just hoping to have today.
It's going to be fantastic. I can see the future. I have a crystal ball, and I know how good it's going to be. And I just can't wait until the moment when I'm not using the future tense any longer with regard to your soundboard.
Yeah, well, that makes two of us.
Well,
it's going to be great.
That's right.
But I wasn't.
Long-time owner, Mr.
See, I suck at this. See, but I wasn't ready. All right. In my defense, here I am doing my thing today, minding my own business, trying to figure out health insurance and tax bullshit. Scott dials me up and goes, "We need to do a recording today." I went, "Okay." So here we are.
We're going to get real ambitious today and try and
what's the word I hear every week now, huh? Right, Scott? We're going to shoot for every week. Is that the deal?
The idea, yeah. We're going to try to not try. See, what is now I'm not a Star Wars guy, but I have it on good authority that Yoda said, do or do not, there is no try, or something thereabouts.
That's exactly what he said.
Well, there you go. Well, anyway, so we're not going to try to do it once a week. We're just going to do it once a week. That's the truth is that in order to be like a regular presence in people's feeds, that's the once every 2 weeks is just not enough. You know, what is we know you have a lot of choices when you fly, or what is like a Southwest Airlines tagline. There's a lot of podcast choices out there. And in order to establish yourself as a regular presence in people's ears, once every 2 weeks is just not enough.
We're going to assault your ears every week now. You're welcome.
There's an awful lot that goes on, too, just day by day. And that's the other thing is,
true.
If I spend time, when I spend time looking for, pulling the stories that we're going to cover on that show, if it's, 7 days old, 9 days old already, it's like stale. It's old news, So once a week is it. That's the number. So here we are. So let's see.
So here we are.
Paul is, we're totally going in Paul blind here.
I don't know what to expect. I don't know what you got for me. What do you have lined up for me today, Scott? What have you pulled up from the internet today?
A variety of topics, but the running theme, as always, is the Panhandle and our politics up here in North Idaho. This is the hyper-local revolution, no ID, because every region has a mainstream apparatus that propagandizes, and we are going to deconstruct it as we always do. So let's start with did you hear about the house that got demolished with an excavator? This happened a couple of weeks ago.
I did. Somebody went almost full killdozer on that house. I don't know the reason why, though. I don't know the story behind it. The details were lackluster upon the breaking of the initial news. And then I haven't seen or heard anything about it since. Now, granted, I haven't done a whole lot of excavating for information, so fill me in.
Here is the initial story.
A new home is now a pile of rubble after police say someone used an excavator to destroy it earlier this morning. Graham 2's Christian Garza has been at the scene all day and shares what neighbors are saying tonight.
This is great.
Well, dozens of neighbors came out to look at the scene here at Alsea and Platt Avenue. Really, the only thing left of this house here on the corner is one wall towards the back. The rest is completely torn to shreds. Really, there's only wood and glass and some insulation after this incident this morning. Now, despite some neighbors not wanting to speak on camera, every single neighbor I talked with today says the only word to describe what happened here is disbelief.
Now, get ready for all the random jamokes that are interviewed by the local news. This is classic local news trope. It's going to be great.
The best. Hold on. Before you do, I already know how it's going to go. Oh man, I don't know. He was so quiet. He was so friendly. He always helped me take out the trash. I had no idea he had 7 bodies in the freezer, officer. He just seemed like a normal person who kept to himself.
always how it works. It's never like, oh yeah, no, everyone on the block knew that guy was a serial killer.
The Post Falls Police Department says it got a call earlier this morning around 5 or 6 of somebody destroying a newly constructed house with an excavator. Officers say when they got to the scene, they saw someone driving away. After a traffic stop, the driver, a 29-year-old man, was arrested for DUI, burglary, and malicious injury to property. I had the chance to speak with one neighbor, Gail Isley, who lives right across the street from where it all happened.
Wayne came and my husband came and woke me up and he said, they're tearing the house down across the street. And I'm going, what are you talking about? I was kind of awake, I just hadn't got up yet. Well, I couldn't believe it. When I walked out the door, I'm going, really? I mean, this just doesn't happen.
Yeah, but
One by one, neighbors came to the scene to see the damage, like Deb Corzin, who heard about the demolition through the grapevine.
So my son lives in the neighborhood also, and my son was telling me that a house was demolished on the street.
Mom.
And it's like I didn't see anything, and so
This is like a fourth person account. Like a friend of a friend. Here we are interviewing. Why would you even do that? I thought they were interviewing people in the neighborhood. Now they're interviewing somebody whose son lives in the neighborhood. Why are you doing this?
Well, now, see, I live in Schenectady, New York, okay? And my cousin who lives in Boise, well, she knows someone up in Sandpoint, and he said that his cat, which is, he thinks it's his pet, but actually it's feral because, it's a cat. That cat had wandered all the way down to this neighborhood in Post Falls where it turns out a house was demolished.
and it's like I didn't see anything, and so I figured I'd just keep walking, and I was thinking, my son must have told me the wrong street. And I got to here, and I seen this house, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, what the heck happened here? Because I thought I'd just seen the house was just sold.
To clarify, Greenstone Homes, one of the companies who manages this property, says the house was not sold, but they were in talks with an interested buyer. Investigators confirmed the person allegedly responsible for the demolition was a construction worker and was also unhoused. Greenstone confirmed with me the man who was arrested does not work for them or their partner companies. Greenstone declined to speak on camera, but sent me a statement saying in part, "We are incredibly disappointed that the event happened, and we are working as quickly as possible to clean up the demolition and make it as safe as it can be for the community." Greenstone says that it could take up to a year before another property is available.
Okay, now did you catch the mainstream media propaganda term in there?
Unhoused. Well, first of all, I find it curious that the fellow was a construction worker and unhoused. So it's already a curiosity to me how that works. If you hold a full-time job in construction, which it can, it's not glamorous, but it can pay decent enough, especially if you're in any of the trades or the semi-skilled or the skilled trades. How are you unhoused? Also, why take it out on that house? Yeah, he doesn't even work for the company who built the house. So just like more questions. I think I have more questions than I started with. Why did you pick that house? Who do you work for? How are you unhoused while being a construction worker? How did you get an excavator? Is that where the burglary, can't even say the word burgle something, burglary charge. Is that where that comes from? Did he steal the excavator, or are they charging him with burgling the house that he then bulldozed? I have so many more questions.
Yeah, well, and I do like the part where they sort of go through charges and they get progressively lessened, but it's like, we got him for burglary, a DUI, and jaywalking. Like, you can just lead with murder. Like, everything else after that just kind of seems, it's not, like you said, there's a lot of questions. They don't.
So is this dude like living in his truck and he just decides to get a little too drinky, and then in a great session of drinking also decides, you know what? Fuck you, house. I'm taking you down.
If I have to be unhoused, then everybody has to be unhoused.
Take that.
This was from a couple weeks ago. Here is the recent update from, I believe, just yesterday.
And the case against the man who Post Falls police say destroyed a home with an excavator will move forward. Prosecutors charged Fred Caderna, the fourth, with felony burglary, malicious.
She had to correct that. Like, actually, there were three other assholes just like you that came before you.
Caderna the fourth, with felony burglary, malicious injury to property, and operating a vehicle without the owner's consent. Witnesses testified the house was worth about $500,000. Caderna had a job laying pipe for a contractor in the development where the home was destroyed. He remains in jail on a $75,000 bond.
So I haven't been able to find a motive, but it does seem like he was a sub just for one of like a sub of a sub for someone working on
that makes sense
in that development up on it's like up in sort of middle of the prairie, and maybe the motive will come out, maybe it doesn't, maybe it won't. Who really cares? Okay, I say that. Maybe that's a little too flippant because let's say, I've seen some speculation. Oh, the guy, maybe he wasn't paid on time and the contractor is screwing the subs or whatever. So what
is that a theory you've heard?
Yeah. Well, I've read people pose that because people are always, people are speculating why someone would have done something so absurd,
I mean, it said he's a subcontractor laying pipe. Maybe he just got frustrated from not being able to lay enough pipe. It happens. It happens to a red-blooded man. And he just decided to take it out on that house. Just throwing it. Maybe trouble's at home. Oh, no, wait. No, he's unhoused. I don't know.
It's hard to lay pipe if you don't have a house to go back to, right? Where are you going to lay the pipe?
It's true.
I guess there's the truck, but maybe your truck doesn't have a back seat. I don't know. So many questions. I did love the sneaky inserting of the propagandistic unhoused.
Is it not politically correct to just say homeless? I mean, because I guess that's what unhoused is, right? That's homeless, right? I mean, you're from California, Scott, so you could fill me in better on how this works. Explain it to me.
Well, even the term homeless is a propagandistic term because it implies that if they had a home, well, first of all, a home doesn't mean a structure. Like, home is where the heart is and whatnot. So your home could be your Toyota Hilux that you're sleeping in, I guess. Homey. There's no such thing as housey, but there is a such thing as homey. So even the term homeless is highly propagandistic. Even if it was, so now this is now sort of swapping home for house. So at least it's a little more on the nose for what the homeless industrial complex sort of uses as their reasoning for why junkies live on the street, which is that they lack houses. They go back to income and money as a reason that junkies live on the street. Junkies live on the street because they're junkies and they choose to. Overwhelmingly, that is true. Like, I know that there are exceptions, but for the most part, it doesn't have anything to do with money or houses. So homeless is like a crafted term in order to, well, it's so complicated, like who que bono from the homeless industrial complex. But the problem has gotten exponentially worse as time has gone on, not better, and not as the industrial complex has grown. And part of the reason is because the problem is never addressed. Anytime anybody from the complex is up, giving a TED Talk or at some podium somewhere, they're always naming the problem that isn't the problem, which is the money and the house. So unhoused is at least a little more on the nose, as in, they lack a structure to sleep in, and that is the problem. You see what I'm saying? When you can't solve a problem when you don't name what the problem is.
If the majority of the population is choosing to be homeless or unhoused, which it's not the first time I've heard that. I think people who tend to be close to the situation actually have that same feedback. The vast majority of people who are homeless are homeless by choice. They have their reasons, but it's hard to believe if you've never been around it. But those who have been around it often have that feedback. So how do you fix that which does not want to be fixed, number one? And number two is that, of course, whenever we are talking about these issues, God forbid we let the free market do its thing. And typically the more free people are, the more prosperous people are, the fewer homeless members we will have in society, because supply and demand will do what it does. Housing becomes less expensive. Development is easy to do. And wouldn't you know it, it's easier to obtain housing and not be unhoused, or whatever term they choose to use today.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
I don't pretend to know answers, really, which is maybe, well, that's sort of worthless then. Well, okay, maybe so. I'm not here to necessarily say, to give answers. I'm just here to point out how full of crap the mainstream is. So the people that do say they have the answers and do say they want to solve the problem, we're just here to remind you that they don't want to solve the problem. And the things that they say are the problem are not the problem. And they use propagandistic language to convey that.
Yeah, well, it's for the same reason that why bother curing cancer when there's billions and billions and billions of dollars at your disposal to treat cancer? Cha-ching, that's right. Cha-ching. Why cure what you can treat? It's also born out of ignorance. I think there are people who genuinely do want to help with XYZ, in this case, again, homelessness or whatnot, but misdiagnose the issue, don't understand the root causes, and therefore cannot actually treat or cure the issue. The answer is always less government involvement and more free markets and people doing what they are allowed to do. And wouldn't you know it, usually the market provides.
To your point, using something like unhoused, like the sort of the sort of collectivist sect tend to be the homeless industrial complex set. For whatever reason, there's a lot of overlap there. And so, using unhoused completely implies that like society has failed to provide housing. So like making it sound like it's something that is done to them. Fred Caderna IV, who's destroying a house with an excavator. This was done to you. You were not provided a house. So it sort of absolves the individual of responsibility and places blame on the collective. And in my view, it totally betrays the mindset. Just that single word kind of says all of that to me.
Yeah, well, you're dealing with a group of people who tend to think in a collectivist manner. The individual doesn't matter, and because the individual doesn't matter, the individual doesn't have agency. And then everything else flows out from that idea. So the concept that you have agency and you are responsible for you is already one that they're not familiar with and that they don't like, because if you are responsible for yourself, then you can't make excuses. And
exactly.
Again, all that flows out from that. Society is the problem here, of course, not the individual or the life choices. They do that with every single topic, whether that's, what do they call that? Body positivity, being fat was okay. Well, of course, until, what's that stuff that just came out that you can take as a shot?
Ozempic.
It's a big,
like GLP-1 drugs. Yeah.
Have you noticed that the body positivity movement has completely cratered since Ozempic came out?
Isn't that funny?
You don't hear about it at all. You don't see
don't.
it. You don't hear about it. And all of the Hollywood folks, like was it Lizzo or Rizzo? Lizzo, I think, as a perfect example. She sure lost a lot of weight quick. You don't hear her talking about how fat is beautiful anymore, do you?
Nope. What you mostly see now is like Sydney Sweeney in jeans ads. That's what they're talking. That's what the mainstream is talking about now. We're back to big boobied blondes, skinny big boobied blondes being the toast of the town. It's a return to normalcy, and I'm all
pretty
for
awesome.
It. Oh yeah, I'm into it. It also just as a final thought. It also, if it's systemic and it's something that like society is imposing upon the unhoused by not providing them housing, it also justifies budget increases for, your city departments and your preferred contractors and your nonprofits. And that's the industrial complex part of it.
Oh, 100%. Although they're barking up the wrong trees up here in North Idaho. People here, again, with some exceptions, in the Coeur d'Alene area, the Sandpoint area, the places where Spokane, places where leftists congregate. But even they have a hard time being able to justify destruction of property like this, and especially in North Idaho. That's a losing issue when you've got a guy who just destroyed a $500,000 house in an area where housing is already hard to come by and expensive. Nobody's going to feel all that sorry for this fella, or at least not vocally. As much of a basket case as you may want to make him. Again, that's a losing argument here in North Idaho. We tend to take property destruction not well, which is one of the reasons why this area has remained as nice as it is, because we still value things like private property for the most part, more so than a lot of other places.
Back when Fred Caderna III was running around, that house was only like $180K.
That's why he didn't destroy it. We got to wait for these things to get more expensive to really make your statement.
Exactly. Okay, so that we'll see what happens. We'll see if a motive or anything else comes out of that story, but we'll keep our eye on it.
I'm actually really severely disappointed that it wasn't more of a killdozer type scenario where like Kootenai County or the city of Post Falls was really just screwing them over on zoning laws or something like that. And so it was like, fine, if I can't have this house the way I want, ain't nobody can.
Yeah, word has it he before he found the keys to the excavator, he was trying to destroy the place with a flame sword.
A quote flame sword.
That's what he should have done.
Okay, let's move on to something a little lighter and actually fluffier.
Nature was giving us snow today. There hasn't been enough of it up in the mountains. Some of our local ski resorts have had to postpone their opening this year because of a lack of snow. Alexander Conyard shares the impact this has on them and the local businesses that rely on a good ski season.
At this time last year, these slopes were packed with skiers enjoying the post-Thanksgiving snow, but you can see that they're completely empty right now, and it is really quiet here at Mount Spokane. While there might be snow on the ground, the mountain says it's not enough for skiers to enjoy these slopes safely.
We're just waiting for Mother Nature, who loves to throw curveballs, to give us some more snow.
About 18 inches, and today's snowfall has moved our local mountains a lot closer to that goal. But until then, these lifts will remain at a standstill.
The further we go into December and not being open, it definitely has an impact on our cash flow.
Jim Van Lobensel's is the general manager at Mount Spokane Ski and Snowboard Park. They were hoping to open their slopes on Saturday, but have had to push that back to December 13th.
When things are delayed, it makes it a little more, not stressful, but dynamic, and you have to shift and adapt kind of on a daily basis.
Mount Spokane has over 350 seasonal employees who will now miss a week of pay.
They're looking for work, and you're waiting and asking them to wait another week. That has an impact on our employees.
Local businesses are feeling it too.
What we find is when there isn't snow early, people wait a little bit, or they hold out, or they even get nervous.
Rachel Harding is the co-owner of Alpine House. She says November was slow, but expects things to pick up this month.
What we will typically see is an influx once the snow comes, and the mountains will say, hey, we're open, and then it's game time, and we have lines out the door.
Harding suggests getting your gear ready for the season now so that you can hit these slopes as soon as they open up.
I'm just trying to imagine what it would be like running one of these joints where it's just doornails for, months of the year, and then you just try to sort of cram all your gross sales into just a few months, and what that might be like.
Oh man, hard pass. The business I was in, running the Racketeer Cigar Lounge, definitely we had 4 seasons, and I knew which seasons were the best and which seasons were the worst, and always would dread the bad seasons and always welcome the good seasons. Yeah, man, it's stressful. So I definitely feel for all the businesses, and certainly for the ski resorts too, because it does make me wonder how much cash they burn through during periods like this, where they're like Mount Spokane saying they're not going to open till the 13th. That's 10 more days, man.
Right.
How much operating capital are they burning through right now?
Well, and it sounds like maybe it's the mountains employees and maybe these independently operated stores. It doesn't work the same, but where staff is not, it's not like you have to meet payroll. It sounds like they're just, well, hey guys, don't come to work yet because we don't open until the 13th. So that helps a lot when you're not actually having to keep your payroll going. But it's still okay. What were your best months at the Racketeer?
My best months were surprising for most people. Best months were December, January, and February.
Really?
Christmas obviously was always great.
Sure.
And then January and February, those 3 months, well, because the holidays, of course, for December, but the other 2 months were great because it's cold. So smoking outside sucks, man, especially an hour and a half long cigar or 2 hour cigar. It sucks. So it's nice to be inside, warm, cozy, hang out with your buddies, have a drink. And in those months, there's much less to do. There's much less going on. There's no hunting season. There are no summer events. Nobody's on their, on their boat, tooling around the lakes. You're not out there fishing, so on and so forth. So the summer activities aren't getting in the way. Basically, it's what do I do with my free time? Let's go hang out, have a cigar, have a drink. So yeah, December, January, and February, those were my best months. Fall was my worst season. Everybody going back to school, everybody going back to work, getting done with the irregular summer schedule, and everybody feels like they got to pay for their sins monetarily and otherwise. So notice the grindstone. And then hunting season, man. Up here, hunting is a religion within a lot of subsectors of the demographic. So a lot of guys I just wouldn't see for 2 months.
This is the inverse of our craft beer bar, where our big months were June, July, August, just the summer. It was pretty consistent. January was for sure our worst month by a lot, and maybe that was just the post New Year's. People just going out to drinking establishment less. After all the holidays.
We also have dry January too. A lot of folks get in on that dry January thing after the holidays. What's
crazy is a couple few of our bartenders even would do that. So they'd be at work but they just wouldn't be. Yeah, they embraced it. It's interesting. I never felt compelled to do that, but a lot of people do.
Nope, I didn't either. I thought it was dumb. But hey.
So here's a quick update because it has been, I don't know, unseasonably, whatever. It varies every year, I guess. But there really hasn't been hardly anything for snow until the last a couple of days, and now it's starting to look like winter.
We are just hours away from the start of ski season in the inland Northwest. Schweitzer kicks off their season tomorrow. Graham 2's Cody Proctor stopped by a local Spokane ski shop to get the vibe before the first chair.
There's something in the air. First it was snow. Now it's
excitement.
Oh, super pumped.
Ski season's so close you can almost feel it. And shops like Solnick's on Division have seen it firsthand.
I think a majority of customers are like, yeah, we're ready to get out there. Let's get some snow.
A lot of anticipation thanks to the new snow.
Yesterday we were all jumping for joy. It was awesome. We put a bunch of stuff on our Instagram story, playing a bunch of Christmas music. It was a good time.
And Schweitzer's opening day on Wednesday. The other hills aren't far behind, with Silver Mountain opening this Friday and Mount Spokane tentatively set to open December 13th. Both Lookout Pass and 49 Degrees North don't have official opening days yet, but they'll be open soon enough. With a dream of a good snow season, the crew at Solnick say they've seen customers come in for both new gear and for a tune-up of what they already have.
Now here, there's a classic Gen Z thing coming up. Maybe it's like a younger millennial / Gen Z thing, and I wonder if you'll pick up on
what they already have.
We get really good days, we get really bad days, but I think as a whole, we're pretty lucky to have so many close mountains around within 2 hours.
But these guys aren't just helping people prep for the slopes, they're getting ready themselves. Trying on boots and dusting off the gear, all in the pursuit of a good time.
That's just everything to me. It's just getting out there, getting up with some friends, getting outside. Having fun on these dark, wintry months.
In Spokane, Cody Proctor.
I don't care about the snow. I just care about the vibes.
Creme 2 News.
Did you care about the vibes?
Did you catch it?
Close mountains.
Did you catch that?
Like mountains versus mountains?
He dropped the T on mountains.
Close mountains.
Yeah, I did
mountains. I don't know why all this, there's lots of other sentences where he uses the words, where he uses T without any problem. Like
I don't care about the snow. I just care about the vibes.
I don't care about, he doesn't say about the snow. Like he has no problem with the T, except occasionally.
Around within 2 hours.
What is it?
Have so many close mountains.
Mountains. Why is that?
Maybe this is the next hot debate. It used to be, is it, nuclear versus nuclear? Maybe it's mountains versus mountains.
You'll hear it if you listen for it. Like, I wonder if, maybe not your kid. Your kids are probably too smart for it, but there is a proclivity to drop the T, but only on certain words. Certain words.
I don't know. When it comes to my kids, who are highly intelligent, and I'm not just bragging because I'm a parent. Anybody who's met them knows we homeschool, so of course they're intelligent. Of course. But I'll be honest. Even as intelligent as they are, half the time when they speak, I have to ask them to repeat themselves and tell them to enunciate their words and stop mumbling. Damn it, because I'm old and I can't hear you and I'm grumpy.
Is that something they do in general in life, or just when they're talking to their parents?
It is typically something they do because they speak so fast that it all blurs together. So I have to ask them to slow down and enunciate.
Oh, they're motor mouths.
They're very communicative. It's a shock. I know my children, the spawn of my loins, being good at the words and speaking and talking lots. Hard to imagine, I know.
Yeah, it's weird. So you laid some pipe and created some motor mouths. It makes perfect sense to me.
I laid some pipe and I wrecked that house.
Let's switch gears. Metaphorically.
Houses are expensive. Don't bulldoze them.
$500,000 and going up by the day.
Like, I still am thinking about this. Like, if I was angry and unhoused, I would just break in and live there instead of knock it down. I would squat. I would just squat there, and then try to make a case for squatters' rights or something, which is still nonsense. But then again, I'm not a drunk construction worker, so things make different sense to me.
Yeah, you're like applying logic, and you're thinking it through and stuff. Let's switch gears here, and so that was kind of a fluffy story. Let's go back to
well, exciting for them. It's exciting for them because they are economic drivers. I wish them all well. I hope everybody gets to have a good time and catch good vibes on the mountains.
And shred the gnar, bruh. So this we'll go back to hair pulling mode and cover this from, I believe, NPR?
From Boise State Public.
Yes, so this is a new...
Wait, that still exists? I thought we defunded all that crap. Damn it.
We defunded approximately 1% of the budgets. All of the screaming toward the sky that was being done was literally over 1% of the budget.
Yeah,
so
I know. I'm being
99%
kind of
of it.
facetious. It was a nice thought, though, right? That we actually defunded NPR. What a great idea. What a great thought.
From Boise State Public Radio, this is The Connector. It's Idaho's daily news. Good morning. The U.S. Supreme Court now has a date when they will hear arguments on Idaho's ban of transgender athletics. Idaho Ed News is reporting that the High Court has scheduled January 13th for when justices will take up the case. You'll remember that Idaho was the first state in the U.S. to pass a transgender athletics ban. And since then, 26 other states have followed suit with their own transgender athletics ban. And now the Supreme Court is poised to hear the case.
Based on what you just heard here from Idaho's NPR, do you actually know, would a listener come away knowing what bill it is that they are talking about?
No.
Transgender athletics ban? Whose language is that?
Theirs.
Why did they not use the name?
The answers are so simple here.
Why didn't they use the name of the bill? The bill is Idaho House Bill 500. You could use that. You could use the Fairness in Women's Sports Act, what it is officially known as.
Use that.
But
yes.
NPR chose to use
Idaho's ban of transgender athletics.
Ban of transgender athletics. And then later they said the transgender athletics ban.
Transgender athletics ban.
Who is banning transgenders from athletics? What are they talking about?
It's a good catch, and that is how the mainstream apparatus operates. 100%. Actually, that's how everybody operates. Truly, if you pay attention, you can pick up the bias, which exists universally. It just sways to one side or the other. In the language, the bias is in the language. It's in the framing and the language, and that's what we're doing here. Trying to break some of that down, of course, while we're on our side quests and rabbit trails and our fun conversations. But words matter. They have gravity. They have meaning, which is why we have fought so hard to, preserve the language. And the language has been commandeered and co-opted, particularly by the statists and the left in particular. And that's intentional. You know, why call it what it is on paper when you can call it what you feel it is, a ban? You know, it makes you wonder who lives on the other side of that topic, where it's like you get up in the morning and you are actively fighting to let men beat the shit out of women in sports, and you think you're the good guy.
Isn't that unbelievable? What universe? I mean, this the universe is gaslighting us around the clock.
It is a interesting time to be alive, where the line between parody and real life is so blurred. It's impossible to know which is which is why the Babylon Bee is so awesome, because at this point, when I read the Babylon Bee, I just know that either it's already happened or it's going to come true in the next month. They are basically Nostradamus with humor, and it's only a matter of time before we see something like it happen in real life.
It's got to be a difficult gig writing for the Bee, because how do you satirize reality when reality is already a satire?
I know, and you have to be one step ahead of what's gonna happen. You're already you have to be on the cutting edge. It's impressive.
It is.
They don't get it 100%, but they have a good track record. But yeah, that's a good catch, Scott. NPR Boise. You know, we probably have more listeners than they do.
In the Bay Area, for example, I know that there was a lot of people commuting in their cars, listening to KQED, the Bay Area affiliate. So there are certain regions where NPR definitely has a large base. I don't know that Idaho is one of them. Also note the very calm, dulcet tones.
State Public Radio, this is The Connector. It's Idaho's daily news. Good morning.
You have the nice, the background bed like you're in a Macy's in 1986. And there's a very calm-sounding announcer who's reading this. Now, the contingent they represent, the meme that comes to mind is that sort of pudgy, androgynous lady screaming at the sky, like during one of the Pussy Hat riots. You know the meme I'm talking about? She's just she's got her eyes closed tight and she's screaming at the sky. That is who...
Triggered!
State Public Radio.
Whoops, that's who they're talking to. But they do it in exactly the opposite tone. I know who you are and who you're appealing to, and you are conveying the exact opposite in your presentation.
I'm going to push back on that just a little bit. Most of those gals you just described don't have the attention span to listen to radio such as this. They get their news from other sources like the New York Times. The people who listen to that kind of radio are primarily boomer men who wear turtlenecks and drink expensive wine and probably own at least 1 or 2 cats.
I'll give you that.
And fancy themselves pseudo-intellectuals who yearn for the nostalgia of, somewhere in between the 60s and the 80s when life was so much better and we all got along. And
it's a very specific time, and I'll steal a line from Adam Carolla, who calls it pre-AIDS, post-Coke.
Yeah, but that's a good way to put it. I mean, but there is a huge. I mean, we see them. Sandpoint does a lot of them. It's boomers, man. The older boomers. They're in their late 60s up into their 70s. Some of them even in the 80s, and they most of them are affluent. Most of them are proudly, fought in the civil rights movements, so they think of themselves as the heroes in the story. And life was good back then. Everything is bad now, and they can't connect the dots on how it's mainly their fault. And all of the policies that they voted for, pushed for, and think make for a Mayberry setting instead of the same policies that burnt Mayberry down to the ground. But they lived in a gated community, so they weren't affected by it.
Yeah.
Boomers,
man. Let's take a quick breather and give the value for value model thing, the breakdown that we do.
Unlike NPR.
Yes, exactly.
We are not supported by your tax dollars. Theft is not our jam, man.
Yes. Support for No ID comes from generous listeners like you. Get a free tote bag if you don't. What is that? That's kind of, am I in the right vein for how NPR pitches? And, also, by the way, they actually just do have actual paying commercial sponsors. You'll hear pre-rolls on the NPR programming. This week's programming brought to you by Numerica, blah, blah, blah. I thought that these public entities were specifically forbidden. I thought they're specifically prohibited from taking funds from, regular commercial sponsors like terrestrial radio. But that seems to have gone out the window. I now just hear pre-rolls all the time.
Fool.
Yeah, I know.
You thought the government wouldn't take money? They'll take money when it's not offered.
So naive. Where all of a sudden I'm like a sweet summer child.
I was just gonna say, you sweet summer child.
Well, whatever.
So we don't have tote bags though. So sorry, everybody.
You're right.
You can donate. But
no tote bags. And no pre-rolls. You will not hear pre-rolls or random product hawking or brand promotion on this show ever, because our model isn't that. Our model is the value for value model. And value for value means that we, in order to stay free of, influence of corporations or other entities that would use your platform or voice or brand or whatever you want to call it to push their messaging, we have decided to rely only on direct support from you, our producers. And that means that if you find what you hear on this show valuable, that you contribute back to us with value of your own. And that means your time, your talent, or your treasure. That could mean boots on the ground reports, anything that you've got to tell us because you work for this guy or you work at that place. Hugely helpful.
Yeah,
Send
give us the
email.
dish. We love a tasty dish.
And you can do all that, by the way, on our website, noidshow.com. There's a contact widget. And
shoot us an email.
Yep, there are ways to...
Or text. I know a lot of you guys got my number. You got my number. You can text or Facebook message me. Most of y'all know me.
555.
Contact me.
555555.
1-800 taxation is theft. The best part about your tax deductible donations, by the way, is that they're voluntary, because the best kind of financial support is the voluntary kind. Also, while I'm thinking about it, just in case anybody's curious, if you don't get our emails, but you're on our email list, please check your spam folders. We totally understand that this is sort of in some ways a self-defeating announcement, but we're going to try to push it everywhere we can, because we realize a lot of folks are not getting our emails because they're hitting the spam folders. So if you are getting them and you know someone else who is not, but is on our list, please have them check their spam folder. Friends, don't let friends be held back by spam.
They apparently like it, these platforms, these Sender and Gmail and whatever. They like it if the receivers of them, move to inbox, or you click the "this isn't spam" button. That apparently helps boost the credibility of your domain. Paul and I have talked offline a little bit about how absurd and poorly functioning these spam filters are, because things that are obviously not spam and you've interacted with in the past or you specifically signed up for land in the spam folder, and then that other email that you keep getting from this thing that you keep marking as spam and you don't want keeps coming into your inbox. So I'm not really sure who's programming these spam filters, but they don't work very well.
Even when I interact with our own emails, it still gets shoved into my spam folder sometimes.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
So
with our own no ID show emails, they still end up in my spam inbox. And I have clicked on them, interacted with them, moved them over into inbox, marked not spam. It's bound and determined to not let me see my own emails. So again, all of you out there, if you're not sure and you do hear this and you know somebody who's not seeing them, please let them know. Check your spam.
NoIDshow.com, once again, is where you can go to do everything related to sending value back to us as part of our value for value model. And of course, the treasure portion of the value for value model is huge. Anything you'd like to contribute from $1 to $1 billion can all be done on our website via all the very many platforms, your PayPals and your
PayPal, Venmo, all the different things. Also, it should be noted that we also accept and enjoy fiat currency is okay, of course, but silver, gold, ammo, tobacco, booze, also favors. So,
if you need some pipe laid as well,
or a house bulldozed.
We also, yes, if you'd like to send in a note with any donation or anything else, really, then we'd be happy to read your note on the show. NoIDshow.com is where you go for all that, and
we also have a Facebook. We have a YouTube. What else are we working on, Scott? I feel like there's other stuff, but it's coming along. So
Patreon,
we're trying to hit all the platforms.
Patreon,
we have
is
a Patreon.
Up. Yep, we do.
All right, sweet.
I'm
I don't know how that works, but
I don't either, really. Yeah.
Nice. So as you can see, we're doing well.
I know that it's there. All right. So yeah, thanks very much. NoIDshow.com.
On our way.
Value for value, and let's get back to it. Second half of show on our new weekly programming here on No ID.
NoIDshow.com, NoIDshow.com.
So we just did a hair pulling out of your head thing. So let's lighten it up a little bit again. And how about this?
What are the odds? I have a question though. Back onto the Idaho Supreme Court taking up that case, which you knew they're gonna have to. That is a bellwether case. The implications are quite kind of big. So I'm curious to see how it's going to go. The Idaho Supreme Court is not known as a conservative institution. It is a rather heavy leftist institution. So I'll be very curious to see how that works. What are the odds? On the other hand, our Attorney General, Raul Labrador, is quite conservative. So very interesting to see how that all unfolds. I wonder what the odds are that the trans ban will be upheld.
Transgender athletics ban.
So common sense. What a time to be alive. I just can't, I know I've said it already, and I think most everybody who lives on planet Earth agrees, but what the hell? What a time to be alive, where we are now taking this stuff to court over whether or not a man can compete with my daughter in sports.
I mean, can you imagine how much more he would have won the swim meet by had his ball sack not created all that drag in the water. He would have broke the record by even more.
You're right. He's the victim in this story.
Excuse me. No. She. What is wrong with me? She is the victim.
If it's all that extra body hair too that really slowed she down. Ultimately, he's the victim.
Who is not a victim is this Idaho lady who apparently got picked for this. This is empty calories. So lighten the mood here.
So, of course, Thanksgiving is over. There are probably some leftovers in many fridges out there, which I cannot wait to get home and eat.
And nap today.
By the way, hold on. This is an Ask Paul. I'm going to ask you to see if you can predict. This is their little preamble before they tell us about this Idaho lady who got picked for this cool thing. But they have this little banter back and forth. It's one of the, the local news morning shows. There was, I bleeped it out, and I want you to guess what the actual word was that was used here. So here it goes.
I cannot wait to get home and eat,
and nap today. And then
eat and nap. You and I are like, eat, sleep,
What word was said right there? They're talking about their post-Thanksgiving retirement. One more time.
Today.
And then
eat and nap.
You and I
Oh,
are
I already
like,
know.
You
I already
do?
know.
What's the word?
Shop.
Oh,
Eat and shop.
how did you
Shop is
get
the word.
that? Are you serious?
Because it was a
that?
woman who said it. Hey-oh.
Oh, it's so good.
eat, sleep.
If it was a dude, it would have been the other word.
Okay. I didn't think you were going to
Bro,
get that.
all these leftovers in the fridge. I cannot wait to sit down, eat, sleep, and shit.
eat, sleep.
I cannot believe you got that. Oh, okay, here we go.
You and I are like, eat, sleep, shop, eat, or something like that. Anyway, so let's talk about Christmas, because as we
Let's
put
talk
those
about
turkeys
Christmas.
and pumpkins away, we're changing over. And you may think the White House brings in a whole team of pros to handle the Christmas decorations. Might not be true.
Well, it turns out most of the magic actually comes from volunteers, and this year one is from Idaho.
Her name is Angie Olszewski, and she has 6 Christmas trees in her home. So this is right up her alley. This is what she likes to do. So after applying for nearly a decade, she finally got the letter that she's
It's a
decorating the White
10-year
House.
long waiting list.
Apparently so.
Cool.
That's
to
a big
decorate
honor.
the
If
White
you
House.
love to decorate, I bet that.
Okay.
Yeah, she's been waiting by her mailbox since 2008.
That's a
you
big
want to
honor.
know the best thing about this is that when she applied, it was for under Obama, I think, if my math is right.
Yeah, it would have been like Obama's last year. Yeah. And
So she was like, oh, man, I hope I get to decorate Obama's house. And now she's getting to decorate Trump's White House.
so it's got to be disappointing for this poor lady.
It's a big honor.
So fantastic.
A big honor. If you love to decorate, I bet that is huge. So she'll be in Washington, D.C. through December 1st, helping deck out everything from the Oval Office, just being able to go in there would be kind of neat, right? To the Grand Corridor.
That sounds very cool.
Oh, it sounds so cool. Yeah. Just like, hanging little swastikas from the White House Christmas tree, under Trump.
I would hang so much mistletoe just above the main desk.
Is this where we lay the pipe? Is Clinton still here?
I was just going to say, this is my homage to Clinton. Like, here you go, sir. Decorating the White House. How fun and exciting.
Isn't that? It's so cool.
I had no idea
very
that
cool.
That's
very cool.
Very cool. Yeah, I had no idea that was the process. Also, that it takes 10 years. Also, I find that fantastic. I really do hope that she applied to do it for Obama and now gets to do it for Trump. Be the best. We have the biggest mistletoe around here. You're never going to need another mistletoe. Our mistletoe is the best. We hang it everywhere. It's beautiful. Beautiful mistletoe. Look at all this mistletoe. It's made in America, so there's no tariffs. So it's good. Gets all the ladies.
Let's go to this quick one. Another, well, I don't know. Maybe I should just stop prefacing it with the funny use of language, or because it all is.
Idaho could be getting more electric vehicle charging stations soon. The state is continuing an EV program from 2022 that has been paused for a bit. ITD started working on a plan to build more electric vehicle infrastructure in 2022. But the Trump administration put a pause on all of those plans earlier this year. States had to reapply for the funding, and Idaho got the green light to stay in the program. ITD says over 14,000 electric vehicles are registered in the state.
So they presented as 14,000 electric vehicles are registered in the state. Do you know how many vehicles
over
are registered?
14,000?
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
how they said it. Over 14,000 vehicles. Instead of saying in a state with 2 million people and 5 million vehicles, only 14,000 of them are electric.
0.4% of the cars are electric.
But Idaho Department of Transportation is really coming in clutch for those 14,000 rigs.
I will say that electric cars are really fun to drive. You ever driven one?
No, but I have been in one many times. A buddy of mine has a Tesla and he loves it. I do not. It makes me sick.
The sensation of what, like as it's driving, or the concept of it makes you sick?
Yes, but no. Actually, I don't. I think electric vehicles, under certain circumstances, make sense. And if that's what the market wants, then okay, that's what the market should get to have. However, don't you dare tell me that it's the green option, because that's bullshit. That's something we can unpack for a whole day here. So if you want to buy one or you want to make one, cool, buy one, make one. I'm not against that. Just they're not green, not even close. They're way worse for the environment in a lot of different ways. But no, physically it makes me sick when I am in one. The motion of them, it's not great. They're very torqued and herky-jerky, and they're not great. As a passenger, yeah, it makes me sick. I don't feel well.
It is possible. It's just this one buddy of yours is a an erratic driver.
Oddly enough, he likes to use the autopilot's not the right word, but it's the word I'm going to use because all the fancy Teslas now, they have auto drive or autopilot or whatever the hell that is, where it drives it. They drive themselves, self-driving. You get on the highway and they do their thing, and it can be more than just on the highway. They can self-drive damn near anywhere now, which is incredible. But they do this thing where they speed up and then they brake and then they slow down. They speed up and they brake instead of just having some nice form of cruise control. I do not care for it, and I don't get car sick. I don't get seasick. I don't get plane sick. I don't get car sick. I've only ever been car sick in a Tesla. So, but charging stations, that's great. I guess, if I wouldn't care if they were being privately funded. If there is a market demand for charging stations, awesome. And in the state of Idaho, it's, I think, somewhere around 60% of our power in the whole state comes from hydro, which is a renewable resource. And it's a great resource. They keep trying to tear out some of the dams up here, and luckily we've fought that off for years. So electric vehicles make more sense in an area, in a region that is powered primarily by hydro. That does actually make more sense. Charging stations should be done on a non-taxpayer funded basis, though. If there's a demand for them, build them. If not, what on God's green earth is the ITD doing other than, greasing palms and getting grants from the federal government? Because that's what this is. It's a grant program from the federal government. So somebody's getting greased.
Yeah, and pipe is about to be laid on the
taxpayers are getting bent over.
Yep.
Yeah. Somebody's getting greased and the taxpayers are getting fucked.
To your point
Pardon my
about
language.
The market, demanding it or not, I did lease an electric car back in the pre-2020 days when I lived in the People's Republic, and I had never bought a new car or leased a car ever. I always was a used vehicle guy. And I was incentivized by both the utility company, Pacific Gas and Electric, and the state with rebates that were offered, and in the form of just checks. They just cut you a check, and it was a 4-digit check from the state and a 3-digit check from the power company, or maybe it was even close to 4. It was a lot of money. The money covered the entire down payment, and then the monthly payment was so low that it made up for the amount of fuel I was burning at the time. I was commuting out to over an hour away a couple times a week for a broadcast gig that I had many towns over. And that car, there was a Nissan Leaf, that made it just to where I was going. And then that place had private charging stations in the parking garage because, it's the People's Republic and they are on the vanguard of that. And I would get there on almost 0% and then charge while I was in there working and then drive it all the way back. So it essentially became I was burning $300 in fuel using my other automobiles to do that. Now I have no upfront payment because it was all given back to me in rebates artificially. And then the charging was also subsidized artificially, but at least privately. And so, but you see what I'm saying? The demand was not there. I would have never gotten an electric car except for the market was created artificially by government forces, basically. Otherwise, there would be no market, and it's still just such a tiny percentage. I wonder what is the real market? Nobody knows.
Yeah, we call that market distortion, and the government is world class at market distortion. And usually, market distortions go hand in hand with reverse or perverse incentives to devastating effect over the long term. And the green sector as a whole is a very good example of how this works. Everything has been subsidized. The incentives would not exist in a free and fair market at all, including EVs. It's already a very small subsector and slightly growing, but it wouldn't be nearly as big as it is now. Also, real quick, going back to 14,000 electric vehicles up against the number of rigs that exist in Idaho, I did look it up real quick out of curiosity. Yeah. It's in between 1.5 and then on the low end and 2 million.
Mm-hmm.
So we go on the low end of the numbers. Electric vehicles make up 0.09%.
And that's with all of the market distortion.
I wonder how many millions are going to be spent on these charging stations. And then how many millions divided by the 14,000 rigs, what that maths to. It's going to be ugly either way. Taxpayers are taking a bath.
That's going to be a fun calculation.
Oh, my gosh.
Speaking of things that are way too large and there's no such thing as budget and the marketplace has been corrupted and made into something unrecognizable.
This morning, we're covering Idaho. The state is facing another class action lawsuit over Medicaid cuts, this time over services for patients with severe mental illnesses. The state of Idaho has projected budget shortfall, meaning they expect to run out of money or have less money than planned, and scaling back Medicaid may help reduce costs. Several key programs are being discontinued, including assertive community treatment teams and partial hospitalization programs. Those are programs that help those with schizophrenia or dementia. The Idaho Sheriff's Association says this could have serious consequences for public safety.
Of course, that's how they do this. They target stuff like this.
Is to
right. Yeah. Oh, hey, the kids' art program and music program are going away.
They target the things that you see the most, like this, that are smaller budget items, but they will cause the most uproar when you cut them. Knowing full well, though, that when we did it was a public ballot initiative that expanded Medicaid in Idaho, and it was a bullshit campaign from the start and funded by a lot of dark money and outside interests. And it passed. We're going on, I think, 6 or 7 years ago now. Actually, Luke Mayfield is the guy who is responsible for getting the thing going. And the guy's a political gadfly who's been paid to be nothing but, and he actually is based out of Sandpoint here. So the whole expansion of Medicaid thing has been AstroTurf from the beginning, not grassroots, but it passed. And those of us who opposed it said, look at every single other state in the union who expanded Medicaid, and you'll notice a trend. After only a couple of years, none of them can afford it. It breaks the budget every single time. And the strings that are attached, a lot of it is federal dollars, and the federal dollars come with all kinds of handcuffs and strings and conditions, like it always does. And then eventually, when the federal dollars either decrease or stop, then the state is on the hook to cover the gap. So you've expanded Medicaid in a huge way, billions and billions and billions of dollars, not knowing if the funding's going to be there or for how long. And the moment it gets pulled, well, oh shit. You can't afford most or any of it. So that's where Idaho actually is right now, along with every other state who expanded Medicaid. We saw this coming a mile away. We voted, when I say we, I mean myself and those of us who felt the same way, were of the same volition. And we called this from a mile away and said, this is why we shouldn't expand Medicaid. We're going to find ourselves here. And here we are. But we were called heartless. That's how they do it.
That's always the same tactic. How could you be so heartless? And it's for the people. It's to help. How could you not want to help people? We should not be doing PPP, grants and direct deposits of fake money into everybody's checking accounts. During the time when the air was dangerous, because it's going to cause massive inflation and it's going to devalue the currency and boy, who could have? And now the inflation is here, and the currency is worth half, and everyone's like, "What happened? I don't. Yeah. Well, what happened?
Who could have
seen this coming?
Have possibly seen that coming? Yeah, it's wild, man. And then
you don't want to be heartless, do you?
So now Idaho is in a place with regards to Medicaid where we have to make cuts. Idaho is constitutionally bound to balance the budget. It is a constitutional, what's the word I want? Requirement. You have to do it. And for the first time, maybe ever, Idaho can't do it right now. They have to cut stuff. And Medicaid's one of the biggest budget line items there is. It's huge. I think it's second only to education. The state of Idaho spends about 60 to 65% of its entire budget in some way, shape, or form on some shape or form of education, whether it's primary or secondary or trade schools or whatever. As a whole nut, it's about 60 to 65% of the state budget. Next in line is health and welfare, Medicaid, and it's like 30%, 20-ish%. It's massive. It's got to cut. So here we are.
Here we are.
What does Chauncey have to say?
Yeah. What are the top 4 budget items for the state of Idaho, and what percentages do they take?
Of course, here's the breakdown. As of the latest data for Idaho's fiscal year 2024, the top 4 budget items are Education, about 33% of the total budget, roughly $3.46 billion. Medicaid, around 27.8%, which is about $2.19 billion. Transportation, approximately 10.8%, or about $1.08 billion. Public safety, about 9.8%, roughly $0.97 billion.
There you go. Yep. Like you're saying, education and Medicaid. Okay. That's it.
Well, education, they had it at 30-something%, but that's primary education. Yeah, but that's only referring to primary, K through 12. That doesn't count all of the money that goes towards colleges. That doesn't count all of the money that goes towards charter schools, trade schools, and all other forms of education that is touched, funded, subsidized, or run by the state. It's actually about double that.
Here is the final part of this report about the class action lawsuit being filed.
The Idaho Sheriff's Association says this could have serious consequences for public safety.
And what we're trying to do right now is to ask the state to reconsider these cuts, to look at things like the rainy day fund, for example, and make these systems whole again so that we don't have to suffer this, that we can realize, hey, let's fix it now before we create a catastrophe.
Pulling from the rainy day fund is not a fix.
Exactly.
What did I miss here? That's not a fix.
It's like a Band-Aid by design.
These are adults who speak like this. People who are supposed to be high functioning adults. They're not even in the Medicaid psychological retardation program. They're supposed to be functioning adults, and they can't even connect the dots here.
They're supposed to be our leaders, remember?
Leaders.
Lead us, dear leaders.
Holst says he believes without those supports, more people in crisis could end up in jail, not because they are criminals, but because officers have no other options.
Not enough money. There's not enough money.
That's always the problem. Yeah, it can't be the way we designed it. It can't be the fact that we ignored everybody who said expansion of Medicaid was a bad idea. It can't be the fact that over the course of 40, 50 years, we have completely, the left has dismantled the psychiatric hospital system in this country, completely dismantled it. So there's no place for these people to go. Can't be anything. Can't be that. So on and so forth. Good Lord. I mean, this shit's straight. You know what? This shit is straight out of a movie series that I really enjoy watching with my daughter. Borderline dystopian. It's like peace is war, poverty is wealth, weakness is strength. We can fix things with more money.
Have you introduced her to the Twilight Zone?
COVID can only move side to side and not back and forth.
That's why when you walk into the restaurant, you have your mask on because the virus is flying in your face. But when you sit down, you can take your mask off because now it's flying right over the top of your head. Yeah, it's good
right
science.
Over your head.
Have you introduced her to the Twilight Zone? / have you watched the original Twilight Zone?
Bits and pieces. I can't say I'm a true fan, but because I haven't watched enough to call myself that. But I'm familiar.
That might be a good if you guys are into dystopian elements. That's a good thing for you to get into.
See, when I was coming up, the TV series that really caught my attention that was similar was on the Sci-Fi Channel, and it was called The Outer Limits. Yeah, and they tackled a lot of cool stuff in that series too, The Outer Limits. So more familiar with that than The Twilight Zone. But both kind of have the same, to use the colloquialisms of the kids these days, the same vibes.
The sort of modern, I don't know, it's kind of a modern interpretation in that every episode is standalone and has some dystopian vibes. Black Mirror. Did you watch Black Mirror?
Yeah. Not all of it, but 2-3 seasons of it so far. So I got a few more seasons to go. It's, for the most part, it's pretty dang decent. Highly recommend. It's fun. And I do like the fact that most of it is standalone, so you can pop in, pop out, and still enjoy all of it.
Yeah, every episode is its own thing. Funnily enough, my wife and I were watching it in 2019. We were getting into it, and we watched, I think, most of the first season or something like that. And we got to March 2020, and we all of a sudden, when reality became a dystopia, we lost interest in watching that show, and we sort of never picked it back up. But maybe enough time has passed now where it would be worth revisiting because we did really like that show.
I think it's worth revisiting. Good stuff.
I have one more for this week. I pulled some audio from yesterday's meeting of the Kootenai County Board of Commissioners, and this is, you want to talk about value for value. This is where we're about to bring the value because I sat through a lot of this so that you guys didn't have to. Are you aware?
Thank you.
Well, I'd say you're welcome, but honestly, you're really not. Are you familiar at all with the whole Kootenai County has acquired a helicopter thing?
Yes. Oh, yes. Actually, that made headlines because old Sheriff Norris really wanted a helicopter. It was really important that Kootenai County had a helicopter for my safety, I guess. I don't know if anybody knows this, but helicopters are not cheap. The helicopter fuel is really not cheap. I mean, compared to the fuel, the helicopters are cheap. It's the fuel where they get you. But holy crap. Now you got to have people to fly it. That's not cheap. You got to pay for the fuel. That's not cheap. And you got to pay for the chopper. That's not cheap. And then you got to have maintenance on that bad boy because it's only, every 5 hours you got to maintain those things, or 10 hours, because with helicopters, unlike planes, if anything stops working, you can't even like glide your way onto the runway and be like, "Whoo, we dodged one there." Instead, you just die. Helicopter just falls out of the sky and you die. So, 8 whole hours of use and you got to maintain those things. That is a big, big budget line item. He hasn't even given a good reason of why we actually needed one. So that has caused an uproar, I don't want to say across the aisle, but from all intents and purposes, kind of across the aisle, where a lot of people have been like, "Hey, why do we need this?" And sheriff's like, "Because I'm in charge and your safety and I'm a cop and the sheriff stuff."
In order to set up what I'm about to play, I'll do a quick, for those, including me, who are not aware of all the exact details. What happened is a nonprofit, the Kootenai County Regional Air Support Unit, was formed to provide air support and air rescue for the county. Previously, the county had been using Spokane's heli. The helicopter in question it's like a mid-90s Bell, and it was acquired using donated funds via this nonprofit. In March of 2023, the county commissioners approved an agreement giving the sheriff's office use of that heli via the nonprofit's air support unit. So what you're saying, Paul, about who's going to fly it, who's going to maintain it, well, the nonprofit had been and has been providing all of the actual logistical support for the actual airworthiness of the thing. The arrangement was described.
Then
Go ahead.
Who funds the nonprofit? Where's that money come from?
From what I'm reading, private donations. So what's going on now is it's been grounded, and it's actually been more than a year that this thing has not been being used because of insurance issues. Insurance costs reportedly ballooned, like doubled. It was something around $22K a year, and it went up to like between 46 and 53 based on some estimates. So yeah, I know, right? So just a light burden. Legal and liability concerns arose because although the county uses it, the nonprofit owns it, like we're saying. So it makes it like more of a charter service rather than county-owned law enforcement aircraft. So it's complicating the insurance risk and exposure. So in any case, so now you're going to hear yesterday's board meeting. And so these 3 county commissioners that you're going to hear, it's going to be Bruce Matare, Leslie Duncan, and he came up on the last show, Mark Eberline.
Mark Eberline.
And the other voice you will hear that is speaking to them from the gallery on behalf of law enforcement is Lieutenant Mark Ellis. There's a couple minutes long, so just hang with it.
The liability here is huge.
You're hearing Bruce now addressing the lieutenant.
The liability here is huge.
Liability is going to increase. There's no doubt about that. What's the cost, though? If we save a young child's life, is it worth it?
Right off the bat.
Yeah,
really?
right off.
Isn't
that amazing? So that's the line that
if
the
we
lieutenant
close all of the businesses and make everybody stay home and shut down the world, it's worth it to save one life.
Sounds familiar.
If we save a young child's life, is it worth it?
Well,
you pay it, asshole.
Okay, well,
sorry. I'm sorry. I children are important, obviously, but already, fuck off. Like the moment somebody is glib with money not theirs, fuck off.
You're going to hear Bruce respond.
Well, now you bring up an interesting point because, there is a guy who said that if we just pass one more gun law and it saves a life, is it worth it? His name was Joe Biden. So that's kind of a Democrat talking point. And I'm not trying to argue with you on that. But when that gets thrown at me, I look at it being a very political statement in a sense, because I don't believe you want more gun laws, right?
I do not.
And I don't. So, and we know that as a result of that, perhaps someone may die, right? According to this person. So I'm not sure I would buy that as an argument necessarily, because if something bad happens, believe me, all the good things that a program does kind of goes out the window. if something bad happens, because people are going to start pointing fingers and saying, why did the board approve this? They knew this liability.
Forgive me that this is a little long. I did edit it for brevity, so let's keep going.
I just need to know the direction from the three commissioners because we have put a lot of money, a lot of time into it. The board members are now asking because frankly, it's been down for a year of not being used. But if it's
wait,
not
hold on, pause it. So here's a question for this dude. It's been down for a year. How many children does he think have died because of that?
One a day.
Well, under the premise that without this chopper up and running, the children will die.
Kids are dying.
How many have died?
You know what I really need? One of us needs on our soundboards is Reverend Lovejoy's wife from The Simpsons. Won't somebody please think of the children?
Think of the children. Every time I hear anything like that, you just grab your wallet. The moment somebody mentions the children, grab your wallet.
So say the word children.
Children. The children.
So something like that. I need to get Lovejoy's wife and the cash register. But that's a good question. Yeah, no kidding.
He admits to the amount of money that's been put into it. So nonprofit or not, and that is cool. I will say credit where credit is due. If most of this has been done via a nonprofit and the nonprofit is actually being funded voluntarily, which I'm skeptical. Skeptical Paul is highly skeptical. But I digress. Credit where credit is due if they put all that together, and that's how that actually is going. But there's still, but the county still has to maintain all of it, even with the support of the nonprofit. I could be wrong here. I'm not an expert.
That does appear to be what is being presented here. And by the way, the word expert has lost all credibility anyway. So for all intents.
Well, yeah, I should say. I guess I'm not super knowledgeable, but it doesn't take an expert or for me to be deeply knowledgeable on this particular topic to make to hedge my bets, to make a realistic call on it, because all you have to do is know history and know how government works at any level at all to know that far more often than not, there's taxpayer money involved, probably lots of it. Most of it's not being spent well. And ultimately the taxpayer picks up the tab. It's like every time they create a new park or something, every single time they're like, oh, well, this new skate park or this new ballpark or whatever, it's going to cost this much. And it's like, yeah, to build, but then we still have to maintain it and take care of it.
So you hate
insure it.
You hate
and
parks,
staff
is
it.
that it? You hate parks.
I hate parks.
Yeah.
Yep. I hate kids. I hate skateboards. I hate ball games. I basically hate America because I think that theft is immoral and wrong.
Let it hereby be known. Paul Banducci hates parks.
And roads.
And clean water and clean air.
I hate roads the most.
And kids. Oh, and children. Wants children to die.
I hate children so much. I have 3.
Let's keep going with this.
A year of not being used. But if it's not something the board wants, then let's call it quits. We just need direction at this point.
But by the way, it's being, my understanding of what's being presented here is basically like, hey, county, purchase the heli in earnest, and it can actually just be a Kootenai County Sheriff's helicopter and not this weird sort of consignment thing anymore.
Yeah, that's been the push. That has been the push for a little while. And it is from their perspective, from the county's perspective, the county sheriff, that makes sense. Let's have this, they might call it an asset. I would call it a liability, but let's have this asset solely under our control so we can do what we need to do with it or do what we want to do with it. And we can call the shots. Now, that makes a lot of sense from their perspective. But again, it's easy to speak and think that way when you're not the one picking up the tab and everybody else is.
It's not something the board wants, then let's call it quits. We just need direction at this point.
Well, I think it's not about from my perspective, and I'm just to vote on this, it's not that I want or don't want per se overall. I like the idea of the county having a helicopter to do the very things that you say, right? The problem here is that I don't know what the liability is. I don't know what I'm saying yes to. Okay? And so without understanding that information, it's hard for me to make a good decision, right? Are you going to represent the county if something bad happens? Or are we going to get
representation?
That's right. So we need someone who knows what they're talking about, who's done this before, who's seen all these different situations to make sure that we don't have gaps in what we think is good but may not be good.
When you buy a car, do you buy the insurance before you buy the car?
Well, cars don't fall out of the sky. I mean, I'm sorry, but
Do you refer to the sheriff's office for law enforcement expertise?
Well, interesting. This is getting combative.
Yes, and you could tell that he's got a couple of these sort of what the sheriff's department believes are trap questions that were preloaded. But we'll get to hear how the commissioners responded. Now, I think this is
okay. That's an interesting question, though. Do you buy the insurance before you buy the car? That's a great question, and it does sound initially like a gotcha question. But the better question would be, do you buy a car without accounting for the fact that you will also have to insure it? Does any reasonable person buy a car and then not think, while they're thinking about buying a car, not think about the insurance that's going to be required for it? If you're if you're a high functioning adult of any sort, the answer is no, of course not. That's stupid. You also have to account for the insurance costs, the maintenance costs, the lost opportunity costs, the trade-offs that come with making such a purchase. What do you gain versus what do you lose? And when it's your money and you're the one on the hook for whether or not it's a good trade-off, well, then you have to be as intelligent about it as you can be. That's what separates government from individuals. Government doesn't have to run that equation.
Do you refer to the sheriff's office for law enforcement expertise?
I'm looking at it as a commissioner.
Okay.
This is Mr. Mark Eberline who is going to respond to that question.
I'm looking at it as a commissioner. Okay? You're looking at stuff as a cop. When the crap hits the fan, it's the commissioners that are going to take the heat.
That's fine. I understand. You're just saying that you don't understand the need, and I'm telling you the sheriff's office has said there is a need. And they're the ones that are actually executing law enforcement in this
Why
county.
does somebody give somebody...
so are we supposed to just... So that's interesting too. Speaking of breaking down narrative, the narrative that this fellow from the sheriff's department is building is that if we say we need it, then you should get it for us.
That's the
Otherwise, the implication is like, don't you trust us? We're the professionals. What we say is what you should do. Don't you trust us?
Why does somebody give somebody a donation of a helicopter?
Because the community cares about...
Or they want to get out of it. Somebody wants to get rid of some piece of garbage that they have, and so all of a sudden, great, this sucker took it.
Someone out there does know the true motives, but it is another way to think about it. It isn't necessarily just because, everyone cares and just really wants to see for the good of the community, Kootenai County have a heli.
Well, they're not mutually exclusive either. Sorry, I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
It's important to note that motives are not mutually exclusive. You can have good motives and you can have not so good motives simultaneously.
That's
if
true.
you can kill multiple birds with one stone, like I can get out from under this helicopter while also, quote unquote, giving back to the community and feel good about it, while also getting out from underneath this problem and ridding myself of this headache. Well, that's a win-win, baby.
Lieutenant Ellis, have you been a part of these conversations at all with any attorneys?
No.
I think you should be.
So that's basically where they ended it. Is they didn't come to any conclusions. They just are going to employ an outside attorney to look through basically try to nail down the legalities of this and exactly what kind of who would be liable in what instance, and further consultation is needed essentially. And the commissioners want Lieutenant Mark Ellis and the sheriff's department to be in on, I suppose, further reconnaissance work before we figure out if Kootenai County's going to have
which is
a
a
heli.
wise thing to do. Make them privy to it so that they have to be a part of the process as well. Maybe it'll be an eye-opening process for one side or the other, or both. Maybe it will bring the contentious nature of the discussion down a little bit if both sides are privy to the same data. Oftentimes that does help. Something else that I think is worth noting here is that these three commissioners, this is probably one of the most true blue libertarian conservative board of commissioners Kootenai County has had maybe since I've been born. This kind of discussion would not have gone on if the makeup of the board was what like the North Idaho Republicans wanted it to be.
It would have just been a rubber stamp outfit.
They would have rubber stamped this shit faster than you could say the words. They would have been like, "Oh, well, if the sheriff says we need to have it, well, then we better have it because my safety, that's what we got to do
for the children."
For the children, of course, stamped. Like, well, what about the insurance? We'll figure it out. Well, what about the maintenance? That's okay. We'll figure it out. hard choices will have to be made. We'll figure it out. Yeah, those hard choices will be that they take the max 3% property tax increase for 3 years in a row. And they take foregone taxes that they didn't take later, years back, because that's the bullshit they can do in this state too. I think everywhere they can do it. But what they do, cities, whether it's Coeur d'Alene or Sandpoint, counties, whether it's Kootenai County or Bonner County, what they do is by law, there's a max. And I think across the board, it's 3%, whether it's city or county. They can only increase your taxes a max of 3%. But what these insidious sons of bitches can do is if they only take 1%, let's say in 2022, well, there's a statute of limitations that's like fucking 5 or 7 years. I'm a little hazy on it. It might be 3 years. It might be 5 years. It's long enough to make to hurt. And if they come back and let's say it's now 2025, it was 2022, they took 1%, it's 2025, and they take the max of 3%, but then they need a chopper to get paid for as well. Well, they can take another 2% that they didn't take in 2022. They call that foregone taxes. And then they campaign on being low tax during one era of their tenure. And then they put you over a barrel during a different era of their tenure because, we need this thing. We got to pay for it. What do you want us to do? Tough choices have to be made. You have to sacrifice. With this board of commissioners that exists right now is they're going to be a little less nonsensical on that kind of thing. They're going to be more skeptical. They're going to try to protect. They're not perfect, and I'm not fanboying on them. I know 2 of the 3 of them actually personally, and I support them, but I'm not going to fanboy on them. They have their issues just like everybody else, and they're not as libertarian as I'd like them to be, but they're close enough. They're getting this one right, that's for sure. I think they want to protect taxpayers more than most other boards would.
How can we threaten the accreditation of the Kootenai County Board of Commissioners? Because it's chaos over there, and they're not doing the rubber stamping they need to be doing. So how can we threaten their legitimacy?
Oh, man, I don't know. We should ask the North Idaho Republicans. I'm sure they have a plan percolating as we speak.
You know what I think we need to do after all of this hand-wringing over, the Supreme Court and the chaos. Chaos. Trans athletic bans and EV chargers that nobody wants, and and the snow that isn't falling, and the home being destroyed by the excavator. We just need to take a breath and
eat, sleep.
Just make you feel better. Just have a nice meal and a nice nap and a nice
big shopping spree. Because you know what makes you feel better than anything is spending money you don't have on stuff you don't need.
Yes, this segment of 4 News Now is sponsored by City Card. Yes, City Card.
Eat, sleep, shop.
Yeah.
Are you feeling depressed? Well, have you tried debt?
Okay.
Results may vary. Only take twice a day. Call your doctor if you have to file for bankruptcy. 3 out of 3 test subjects experienced elevated anxiety. It may make your depression worse.
Thank you for checking out episode number 5 here of No ID, the hyperlocal revolution. Yes. And
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your ears.
We are now on a weekly quest. Yes, a weekly quest to deconstruct panhandle politics. So go to noidshow.com. This is a value for value proposition if you found this show valuable. And until next Thursday, I'm Scott.
And I'm Paul. Taxation is theft.
You still did it backwards, but I'm going to call it a show.
I did, didn't I? Maybe that's going to be my shtick. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it backwards, Scott. You're just going to have to love me where I'm at. I'm just how God made me.
Home is where the heart is and whatnot.